Hello everyone, welcome to Seed the Table. I'll introduce you to my friend Michelle, and today she is here to ask some gardening questions, and we're going to see if we can answer them for her. Come along. All right, Michelle, I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough of the garden, and then as we go along, you can ask the questions that you have. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. I saw some of the pictures you showed me. You had tomatoes, and you had onions, and you had some squash.
Yep.
So when we get to those areas, we'll talk about that, okay?
Was that a soaker?
That is actually a bird bath.
I mean the hose.
The hose itself. The hose is not a soaker. I actually have it hooked to a sprinkler, so I do overhead watering.
Oh, that's great.
Now, it is better if you can water your vegetables from the ground up. And the biggest reason that it keeps the plants from getting wet, and it cuts down on fungus and stuff like that.
Okay.
Powdery mildew. At any rate, if you can't do that, then of course you water them the best way you can. Especially in this heat, you want to make sure they stay nice and clean. So I saw in one of your pictures that you had some tomatoes.
Right.
Okay, and you were telling me that you planted tomatoes and then you thought they were dead, and so you planted some more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tomatoes, there are two types of tomatoes. You got indeterminate and determinate tomatoes.
Okay.
Which is why I asked you what type of tomato you had planted in that pot.
Yes.
Okay. Interdeterminate tomatoes grow wild.
Okay.
These are all interdeterminate tomatoes.
Okay.
These will produce until they die out in early fall, and they will grow as high as you let them.
Oh, okay.
As long as you don't cut the top of the tomato out.
Okay.
Okay. This tomato will grow as tall as, way beyond this fence.
Okay.
Usually interdeterminate tomatoes need some kind of support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Otherwise, they will sprawl out on the ground and grow in vines.
Oh, wow.
People don't know that.
Okay.
But they will also keep producing tomatoes over and over and over again. Interdeterminate tomatoes aren't good for pots. Okay.
Oh.
They're not pot tomatoes. And you also have to keep them aerated.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday I came out and I cleaned out all of these tomatoes. You don't need a lot of leaves to grow tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
You just need enough to process the sun and the water, which is why you see all of this cleaned out at the bottom.
Okay.
Makes it easier because you don't get fungus on them. They're easy to fertilize, they're easy to treat, and they'll just keep producing tomatoes.
Okay.
Okay, now if at some point I want them to stop growing up, then I'll cut the top out of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they won't grow anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Determinate tomatoes are good pot tomatoes, and what that is that they're almost like bush tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, on a pack you'll see bush tomato.
Mm-hmm.
They'll only get so high.
Mm-hmm.
They'll produce maybe 1 or 2 crops of tomatoes, and then that's it.
Mm.
They won't produce anymore. You don't have to prune bush tomatoes like you do or determinate tomatoes like you do interdeterminate tomatoes.
Okay. Because I see that you have on those tomatoes, you have like a support for them to keep going.
Yes.
Up and okay.
Because I want them to grow up and not out.
Okay.
If you leave tomatoes, they will vine.
Okay.
Tomatoes will vine, and they will lay on the ground and they will spread out.
Okay.
Okay. And they will produce tomatoes, but you'll have a mess.
Yes.
Okay. And so I want these to grow up, and I want to keep them clear so that I can treat them, see any bugs or pests that may be on them. I can fertilize them. Tomatoes are heavy feeders too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give them nitrogen and you have to give them calcium. If you don't put calcium on it, you see these here? These little buds will fall off. They won't make the tomatoes.
The tomatoes, right.
And should they do get a tomato on it, you'll get what's called end rot blossom.
Okay.
Which means that the tomato gets so big and then it'll start rotting around here.
I've seen that
That's
before.
lack of calcium.
Oh,
So you have to feed them,
Okay.
which is another thing you want to make sure you're doing.
So how do you know how much nitrogen? Because I have those that water thing that tells you the water, the pH, to all that stuff. That's important.
That's
I guess
important
really for them.
Tomatoes like anywhere between a 5.5 to a 7 pH range.
Okay.
Usually a good pH range to go at 6.5.
Okay.
Because most vegetables in the garden can survive on a 6.5.
6.5. Okay.
Things like blueberries need the acidity to be a little bit lower. They get down into the 5 range, but most garden vegetables will be just fine if you got a 6.5 pH level.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll show you the fertilizer that you can put on them that will help with that. Now, extra calcium. Extra calcium you'll have to add. And what I do is I keep my eggshells. Once you use them,
Right.
you crack, you
Right.
use them.
Right.
You keep those and you crush those up, put them in a blender, break them up, and then you can spread those around the base of your tomato plants, and then that gives them the calcium that they need, so you don't get end rot blossom.
I've been using it for my compost, so I can
Yes,
use it for.
you can do that. Put it in your compost.
Okay.
Put coffee grains in your use coffee grains in your compost.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
and that will definitely help with that.
Tomato.
Okay, so you notice this little bug here.
Mhm.
This is a squash bug,
Mhm.
a squash beetle. He kind of went underneath the leaf there,
Yeah.
but he will eat up your squash. This here is squash beetle and cucumber beetle damage.
Wow.
Okay, and I came out yesterday and pruned my squash because I was having squash beetle and cucumber bug problem.
Mhm.
And so if you notice, here's another one.
Mhm.
Okay, now the best method to get rid of these is when you see them, you just pick them off the plant and squish them.
Okay.
Okay,
Aren't they called stink bugs too?
well,
People
stink bugs are something different.
They kind of look like.
They kind of look like stink bugs,
Okay.
but they're not.
Not, okay.
Okay, here are the eggs that they lay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and they lay them most of the time on the bottom of your leaf. There's another one.
Oh.
Okay, they lay them on the bottom of your leaves.
Uh-huh.
So you'll have to turn over your squash leaves to see if you have any eggs. When these little things, the best way to get rid of these is to just wipe them off. Okay.
Okay.
These will hatch and you'll get these little bitty soft-bellied squash bugs.
Mhm.
And they look kind of eerie to me.
Mhm.
But the best way to kill those is with neem oil. So if you spray, make sure you spray the underside of
Ooh, okay.
your plant as well.
Because I just
As
been doing the top,
they hide underneath.
the bottom. Yeah.
So make sure you spray the
Okay.
bottom portion
Okay.
of your plants. Now, are you going to get rid of them all? No. But you want to, take down the population a whole lot.
Okay. So you need to do. So you need to do the neem oil on the squash, stuff like squash.
You can do neem
zucchini.
oil on anything.
Oh, okay.
So neem oil is an all-purpose gardening pesticide, fungicide, insecticide, and I usually spray it on just about anything.
Okay.
Now it will kill anything that will eat the plant.
Mhm.
So any bug that will eat the plant, any some worms that will eat the plants. It has to be a chewing plant. A chewing bug, and it won't necessarily mess with like your beetles and your your ladybugs and your butterflies
Okay.
and the things that the
That
good
you need the good ones.
the good
Okay.
ones it won't mess with. It's just those that eat it. In addition to that, I use this product called BT, and that targets worms specifically. It'll
Okay.
pretty much kill any worm that eat the plant.
Okay.
You put that on there, they eat it, it messes with their digestive system and they die. Okay. And then the third thing that I use of pest control is called diatomaceous earth, and it's a powdery form, and you sprinkle that around on your plants that you see bug damage on. And what that is very, 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 very minute shards of glass almost. And so they eat it, and then it cuts them up and they die.
Oh.
Right. Now the thing with all of these pesticides, you have to reapply them if it rains. Okay. And all of these are organic. Neem is organic, BT is organic, and diatomaceous earth is organic. And I do an organic garden, so I don't use any chemical type pesticides in my garden. Okay. So that's how now you're talking about when to pick a squash.
Right.
This squash is way overdue for picking.
Okay.
Okay, I left it because I wanted to. I'm gonna do some harvesting this today actually. But by the time they get this size, they're big.
Okay.
You can pick them when they're this size.
Okay.
Okay, the smaller they are, the more tender they are.
Oh, okay.
Now you can certainly eat this, no doubt. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
All right. But you could pick them when they about that long. I don't know, what is that? Maybe about 5 or 6 inches or something.
Right.
Right.
Right. How about that one's really big?
Yeah, this one's really big. It's gonna get picked today.
Okay.
And I've got different types of squashes put in here.
Oh, okay.
Here. That's why they all look different.
Okay.
And you can see this one here is a different one. This one needs to be picked.
Yes.
Also, okay. Now I wouldn't pick it this size. It's a little too small.
Small. Okay.
But yeah, once it gets maybe a couple of days or so to be ready to pick. And there's one over here too that needs to be picked, and some over there. So just depending on the different types of squash,
So squash like to grow out and don't grow
right
up.
now you do have some this is a vining squash, as you can see. It's a different kind of squash. You've got winter squash and you've got summer squashes. Most winter squashes will grow up.
Okay.
They vine up. And then of course there's some of the summer squashes are like bush squashes, so they grow out, but they don't grow up.
Okay.
And you still need to give them room to grow. And there's some specific pests that, you know, this year what I did with my squash is I actually wrapped them in aluminum foil when I planted them, because I don't know if you can see it because it's down in the ground, but there's a pest.
Oh yeah, I see the aluminum foil.
See the aluminum foil? There's a pest that's called the vine borer. There's a pest that's called vine borer, and what it does is the vine borer moth will lay the eggs. The eggs will crawl down this stem of your plant, and they burrow into the base of the plant.
Wow.
Right where it comes in the ground. And they get them little cells in there, and then they eat your plant from the inside out. And once you get them, there's pretty much, it's kind of hard to get rid of them. There's different methods that people use, but one of the preventative methods that I found looking at other gardening channels was to put something around the base of the plant. And I've seen people put Dixie cups, little small Dixie, anything to keep that worm from getting to the base of the plant.
Okay.
So today, this year I wrapped them with foil, and so far so good. So we'll see how that works out.
Okay, cool.
To keep that out of the squash. Now you also had a question about the green onions.
Right.
Okay. These are green onions.
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull one out for you. Okay.
Oh.
So you grow green onions for the tops.
Right.
Okay. So I should have put this green onion already. And you see, this is what you're growing it for.
Okay.
The bottoms, depending on what type you plant, are not gonna get any bigger than that.
Okay.
Okay. And so you want to pick them. I saw the ones in the pictures that you showed me. They look like you have some that are ready for picking.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to look at the tops of your green onions.
Okay.
Not so much around the roots of it, because they're not going to get any bigger than this.
Okay.
Okay. And I've got different varieties planted in here. And if you just, when you're pulling them out, if you just kind of rotate them and pull the roots out, it won't pull up the whole bunch.
Oh yeah, that's a different kind.
See, that's a different kind. You see, it's a little bit bigger. But again, it's the top that I'm looking for.
Right.
Okay.
But can you replant the bottom after you?
Yes. Now I've heard people say, as a matter of fact, my sister-in-law is doing that. You clip off the tops of them and leave these in water, and they'll grow green onions back.
And then I can replant.
And then if you want, you can, once they start growing back, you can plant them back in your dirt and just keep producing them. Yeah. Yeah, she's doing that, and she's having good success with it, so it seems to work. Now I've never tried it because, you know, but
you have plenty.
Yeah, it seems to work. These are actually bulb onions.
Oh, okay.
These are the onions that you grow for the bulb and not for the tops. But they look the same, right?
Right.
But what I'm going to do is I tried a method this year. I planted them in threes instead of planting them in single bulbs, and I got that from Charles Dowding. He's another master gardener with a channel. But I have to spoon these, and these are that's gonna be another video. But you come around and you take all the dirt. Yeah, you take all the dirt from around the onion. I think if you come up this way, you'll see I did a few of them the other day. See how I pulled all the dirt out?
Yeah.
This is called spooning, and you do that, and you just leave the root of the onion in the ground, and then that gives the bulb room to grow.
Okay.
Okay. Now I don't grow onions for the bulb for big onions. I use a lot of onions, but I use a lot of small to medium-sized onions. If I was growing them for the bulb size to make them get really big, I would just do one per hole. And there's like 10 different varieties of onions in this in this bed. Wow. Okay. And so here's another squash bed that I have. I had so many squash this year that I grew from seed until I had to plant them. And as you can see, there's our friend. Now I was just out here yesterday, and I cleaned off all the bugs and all the eggs, and you see they're back today.
Yeah, it's full-time job.
It's a full-time job, and like I said, don't fret over, you know, if you miss a day or two, or if you see some bugs on there, so what? Okay, the idea is to reduce the population and not just let them take over. But you won't get rid of them all unless you use some kind of chemical pesticide. But
I don't want to.
That will kill not only those, but it'll kill your good bugs as well.
Right.
And plus, you don't want to be eating that stuff. That's why
Right.
you grow your own food, to get away from all that
Right.
pesticide and stuff. So
Right.
organically growing a garden, you're gonna have bugs.
Okay.
Okay. You know, so just when you plan your garden, just plan to have some for the bugs too.
Okay.
You know, they can't eat it all.
That's
You'll
right.
get some of it, but don't get out of sorts if you know, if you see bugs around.
So do you have herbs in different places? Do you do the herbs?
I do.
Because of my herbs.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. You mentioned that you had mint planted in your box.
Yeah.
Okay, turn around. You see that? This is mint that I planted the first year.
Okay.
And I planted it in the box. I planted it around, you know, if you look around the garden, you see mint just growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Mint there. Mint behind you in the onions. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize at the time that mint was invasive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can never get all the roots out of if you let your mint grow.
Okay.
I didn't plant any mint this year. This was
Wow.
a garlic bed.
Wow.
There was no mint planted in here. I didn't plant any mint over there this year. I didn't plant any there this year. This all came back on its own. And you can see what it's doing.
Yeah.
It is completely taken over.
It is.
So my advice to you would be to get that mint out of your box
Okay.
and put it in a pot
Okay.
that will contain it.
Okay.
Because it can only grow as big as that pot. Don't put anything else in there with it, just the mint.
Wow.
Okay, so take it up now while the roots are still young,
Okay.
and you can possibly get it all out of the ground and repot it and put it in a pot.
Okay.
Otherwise, that whole box that you had,
It's gonna be all.
it's gonna
mint.
be all mint.
My God.
And no matter, I pulled it, I cut it, I had the grandbabies out here, we was ripping it out, and the roots grow laterally. They grow this way, like this. They don't grow straight down, they grow this way.
Oh.
So that's why you can never get all the roots out. So my advice to you now, while you have a young mint plant in that box, go home
And get it
sometime
out.
this week, take it
Oh,
out
I'm taking it out today.
And-
It's coming out today.
and repot it.
Okay.
Now that's really the only plant that's invasive. Anything else, sage and basil and stuff like that, you can actually interplant with your vegetables, and they're good companion plants. They help ward off bugs and things of that nature, and they don't grow wild like that. They're not invasive.
Okay.
Some of them will come back next year. Some of them are perennials and some of them are not. Most of them will come back. This is a rosemary branch bush. It's a tree now that I had from last year that I pulled out of the pot, just threw it in here, and you see it comes back every year.
Okay.
And it smells divine. You want to smell it? Just rub your hands through it and then smell your hands. Look at that.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
Absolutely
yes.
wonderful.
What is this with it?
This is actually called a ground cherry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll show you some when we get down there. I'm gonna let you taste one. Doesn't that smell awesome?
Yes, it
And you know,
does.
you can use rosemary. You can use all these mints for anything else.
Yes.
I've got mints planted everywhere. I got them planted in there. I've got them planted on that side of the fence. I've got them planted over here in pots. These are chives that I planted last year. Didn't do anything with them, just let them die down. They came back on their own this year, so I didn't have to plant any of that. So it was just awesome. Strawberries. Now I got bug pressure. Look at the Japanese beetles. For some reason, they love the strawberries around the first top here. They don't care nothing about these, and they certainly don't care anything about those over there in that box. But they absolutely love the ones on top, and that's what they're after.
Wow.
Look at that strawberry.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. I mean,
I came out yesterday,
strawberries and.
and you see how they eat them? They eat them like people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I see. I see.
Yeah. So I'll have to treat again. I sprayed this plant yesterday with neem oil. They came back today. Again,
So
I'm not getting
the way
excited.
that you have this. Is this on YouTube? Like how you have this?
This is a vertical grower that I have, and I tried it this year because growing up, you know, safe space is growing out, and I want to use as much space as I
Space as you
possibly can to
can,
grow
right.
food.
Right.
You know,
I've never seen anything like
and
that.
so I did my peppers and these watermelons and some lettuce in them this year. I'm testing them out this year. We'll see if I like them. Then, you know, I'll promote them. If I don't, I'll let people make their own choices about whether or not they want to use them. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to show you a ground cherry, and I'm going to let you taste one. These are ground cherries and tomatillas. They look similar. Okay. It's all organic, so it ain't gonna hurt you. But taste that.
That's sweet. That's good.
Isn't that good?
Didn't even taste like it. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to plant that. I like that.
And I planted them all in pots. Now I had a whole lot more, but this year we had a real late frost. That's diatomaceous earth, by the way, and it's food grade. If you're going to use diatomaceous earth, make sure you get the food grade diatomaceous earth, because they do have an industrial one that they use for cattle and stuff like that. But the food grade one, you can actually eat it yourself.
Oh.
When you're handling diatomaceous earth, make sure you wear a mask, because it's real fine particles of glass.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, that what they eat and they...
Right, so you don't want to inhale that stuff, you know,
yes.
so you don't want it, because it can cause some irritation to your lungs. But as far as health-wise, you know, if you mix it in water, as long as you're not inhaling the dust, you're okay. But
What are those called? Let me see. I'm looking at this.
This is called pineapple ground cherry.
Oh.
Okay, now they come in different varieties, and I had planted a whole lot of varieties this year. Frost killed them. So I had to go and buy some, which I don't like. And later on I'll show you how to do your own starts.
Okay.
Saves you a whole lot of money, because you go pay $4 at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah.
For your vegetables, when you can buy a pack of seeds for $1 and grow on them for 2 or 3 years and have as many of them as you like.
This is a different kind, probably. Huh?
We're gonna see.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to get some ground cherries planted this year.
Oh yeah, I like those.
Yeah.
And you got hay on top of it to keep it moist.
You always want to mulch.
But
You want to mulch. I use hay for mulch. I use leaves for mulch. If you look, whatever. Now only use the leaves if you're not treating with treating your trees or anything with any kind of pesticide. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Leaves.
Okay.
You can use grass clippings as long as your grass isn't being treated.
Okay.
And if you're treating your grass, don't use it.
Okay.
Okay. But if you're not treating the grass or your trees and stuff, and your leaves aren't getting pesticides or anything on, absolutely use them for mulch.
Okay.
And you use the mulch because it keeps the moisture in. It helps keep the pests away. It helps keeps the ground cool. I mean, you have to mulch. Okay. And so that will help you a great deal.
This is wonderful.
All right, Michelle, do you have anything else you want to see? These are my cucumbers. And of course, cucumbers, you have to make sure that they have somewhere to vine.
Okay.
Okay?
I have one and I didn't do that.
So just get some sticks. What you can do, and you don't have to do anything elaborate. Okay? You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, go to Amazon, wherever you order. And you can make yourself, wherever you got that cucumber planted. Get you some twine. Get you 3 little sticks like this. Make you a little teepee.
Okay.
Wrap it up the top so it's, you know, so it doesn't come loose. Put this over your cucumber, and when it grows up, it'll vine around these here.
Oh my goodness.
And it'll hang down. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So you can use anything. You can use. I heard you say you got a lot of trees on your property. Go out there and find you some tree branches.
Yep.
Use that.
Okay.
You can use anything.
Okay.
Okay. Recycle stuff. Repurpose it. Stuff around your yard.
Okay.
Grab the leaves out of the trees and use them for mulch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You can use about anything. If when we cut the grass, we can use, you said, the grass or the leaves or anything.
Grass clipping, and what it also will do, not only will it keep it cool and all of that, but it also will break down and it'll compost into the dirt and make the dirt richer.
Yes.
So yeah, it just think about forest floor and how that whole process works. Right? Nothing goes to waste in the wild. Nothing goes to waste. A leaf dropped to the ground, it sits there, it rots, it rains, it rots. The animals break it down, chew it up, and do it. And if you dig underneath of there, you find some of the best compost. Yes,
best ever. Yes.
Right. So think about your garden that way when you're for maintenance, when you're planting, even when you're harvesting. You know, like plant peas and beans because they're rich in nitrogen. So if you have something, a plant that needs a vegetable that needs a lot of nitrogen. Beans and peas go well. You can interplant those with tomatoes, who are high nitrogen feeders.
Right.
And so you take the beans, making the nitrogen feeds the tomato. You see how that all works. So
that's what I gotta know. What works it works good together. You know what should be by each other.
Right, now you can go anywhere. Alma's Almanac, right? You can Google vegetable companion planting, and you'll come up with a whole bunch of stuff. There are lists out there that you can print out. I've printed out a bunch of them, and I'm going to show you some of that. But yeah, there's plenty of information. There's other gardening channels out there that you can watch. Okay. You know, people that are just starting, and it's not as hard as people make it out to be. If you have a pot, you can plant something and grow food for yourself. One of my friends want to go home with you, a Japanese beetle. So you can, you know, all you need is some dirt. Okay. Drop a seed, get a vegetable plant, throw it in there, put a little water, give it some sun, and you can grow something.
Grow something. Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's
so,
awesome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you
for coming by today.
Appreciate it.
And we will see you all later. God bless.